Jen Siebel Newsom, good to see you.
You as well, thanks.
So what is the Great American Lie?
So the Great American Lie is basically an unveiling of the truth that the American dream isn't the reality it's purported to be, that your circumstances actually are a determinant in your potential or the upside in life, that the zip code that you're born into, the family that you're born into can determine your destiny. So the American dream is, in essence, currently in modern day America, a lie. We are at a place where 0.1% of the wealthiest individuals in our country have more wealth than the bottom 90%. And the situation is so dire that we have more inequality than we had right before the Depression. And so this is leading to a crisis of connection, incredible divisiveness in our country, and we have to do something about it.
So, what do we do about it?
So, the film really encourages us to look at our values and how we've gotten to this place. Where, are you someone who leads with empathy, care, and compassion, or an orientation towards community? Or are you more individualistic, and do you kind of do everything just for yourself and your family? It's encouraging us to be more communal oriented and more empathic to those who are more vulnerable, who are marginalized, who are less fortunate than us. I like to say that some people are born on third base or in the ballpark, and others are born so far away that they're never even going to have a chance to make it into the ballpark. And that's really kind of, the American dream is really about what can we do as individuals in our community, what can we do? I think we need now more than ever to have conversations with people that either appear different from us or are ideologically different than us, break bread, try and focus on our shared humanity, what we have in common versus what differentiates us, and try and build or bridge a path forward. And then lastly, we just have to vote our values at the ballot box, and we have to vote our values with our pocketbooks and support companies that are conscious or inclusive capitalists that actually produce products that have maybe a triple or quadruple bottom line. It's not just about money. There's a social bottom line, an environmental bottom line. So that's those are some of the solutions.
I imagine with the two runs for governor and the two runs for lieutenant governor,
yes,
as you're traveling around the state, you got to see that really firsthand. Was there a particular moment where you said, I need to make a film about this?
Great question. Was there a particular moment? That is such a good question. I started making this when I was making The Mask You Live In, and I intuit a lot of stuff, and I basically, while I was delving into the research about the boy crisis in America and how we're actually failing our boys and men, I knew that there were larger social, political, and economic ramifications of living in this sort of hyper-masculinist culture where we're privileging or elevating values such as power, dominance, control, and aggression at the expense of empathy, care, and community or collaboration. And so for me, it was more recognizing that these values were being institutionalized and harming not just the individual boys and men or individual women and girls like we unearthed in misrepresentation, but that they were harming society at large. And you can't live in California, you can't live in any metropolis and not experience or witness homelessness, right? Extreme poverty. You can't interact with immigrant communities and not see the obstacles on their path. But what's interesting in this film, though, is that we set out to make one film, and then 2016 election happened, and I knew that I had to turn the lens on the South and the Midwest, and so we went and spent time with characters, individuals in both the South and Midwest, and that really brought a whole new perspective, a conservative perspective to the story of social and economic immobility, and forced us to basically share kind of, once again, a path forward where we come together and focus on our shared humanity, our common humanity versus what's dividing us.
Even in these communities that are struggling, there are success stories. There are people that
Yes.
achieve the American dream. Why
Yes.
do you think certain people are able to achieve the American dream when so many other people are not?
No, great question. I mean, the statistics show, and Raj Shetty, who's this leading economist, again, is the one that came out with all of the research and data that proved that the zip code and family that you're born into being a determinant of your destiny. Only 7% of folks from the bottom economic quintile make it to the top economic quintile. However, the gaps in the ladder of our economic situation have gotten so wide that the people that are making it to the top economic quintile, they're not making millions of dollars, they're making $250,000. So it's not like, right, they've definitely gotten to a place that's much better than making $20,000 a year, or that's what their parents made, but it's not that much, relatively speaking, compared to some of the wealth that we're seeing in this country. So obviously, to your question, it's hard work, it's being surrounded, having a network or somebody that honestly reaches down and helps lift you up and exposes you to their network and pays you a fair wage and provides you, some of the things we're trying to do in California, which is like paid family leave and childcare and early childhood education, and address someone or a community that envelops you with supports so that and social services so that you have a fair shot at achieving your potential. But it's really random, and it's not, do you know what I mean? I think there are solutions when you look at the zip code and how we can kind of envelop certain communities and invest in them, but it's not like there's one solution for everyone, right?
Right. I've asked your husband this question, but I've never gotten to ask you this question.
Yes.
I think it's more interesting to hear from you. Why did you choose the title First Partner instead of First Lady?
Yes. So First Partner was really just a continuation of the work I've been doing at the Representation Project, which is about breaking down limiting gender stereotypes and norms. And to me, First Partner is both gender inclusive and gender expansive. So we will have a female governor someday, and we will have an LGBTQ governor. It's just a matter of time. And for me, also, partner and partnership is really critical to moving us forward, not just as a state, but a nation. We live in a very individualistic country. It's one of the kind of themes that comes out of the Great American Lie. And so for me, it's sort of putting out into the universe that if we move more towards partnership, we can solve some of these problems.
You've been really involved with a lot of family issues, a lot of strong advocate for women.
Yes.
How do you see this role? How do you see the job of First Partner?
I mean, I see the job as really a responsibility to help uplift women and families in California and ensure that the California dream is alive and well, and that women have all the support, the economic support, the educational support, the care support to have careers, but also raise healthy, whole families. And it's really exciting.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity, and it's one that I obviously take seriously.
And speaking of families, we were in Sacramento with you during the inauguration. We all got to see Dutch as the big star of the day. It was just a reminder to me, like, I can't imagine being you with so many little kids. How do you do it all? How do you balance all of that yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it takes a village. It's never pretty. It's messy, right? I think raising children is challenging for many people, in that you and having careers or work at the same time. So there are a lot of humorous moments. Me walking out of the house into the office with like slippers on, or having whatever it is. Like I'm constantly juggling, and but we have fun, and there's a lot of laughter at home.
And last question, how has Parenthood changed your life, changed your perspective on things like filmmaking?
That's a great question. Well, I think Parenthood makes all people less selfish. I don't know how you can be focused on yourself and be a good parent. Like, you have to be other-oriented. And so I definitely think, I'm grateful. I'm so grateful, because you don't know if you're gonna have children or not. And so I just feel really blessed, and I learn from them all the time. It's very humbling, right? You see yourself in them and your own shortcomings as a human being, and you're like, okay, how do I help them not, you know, I don't know, it's like a mirror reflecting back to you who you are, the good and the bad and the ugly.
Right. Anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
I don't know.
Just real quickly, what is the Representation Project?
So the Representation Project is a social change organization that I founded after selling misrepresentation to Oprah Winfrey Network and basically recognizing that we had more than a film. It was a larger movement, that there was this demand for ongoing conversation and mobilization around the issues of the media's misrepresentations of women and getting more women into leadership.
Great. Keep up the good work.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
I
much for
appreciate
the
it.
time.
Yes,
Really
thank
appreciate
you.
it.